So, depression is one of those things that's kind of hard to describe to people, and I'm going to try to describe it because writers should be able to describe things. It's kind of like you're in this pit, and there's not really a bottom, and sometimes you don't really know what's wrong. You just know that things don't feel quite right, or you're not getting joy from things as much as you should. And it's not a constant thing. Sometimes you're perfectly fine, and then you just have days where your brain is just not what it is. Um, and from my experience, it has this long-standing habit of trying to convince me that certain hobbies I don't enjoy them. And it's a lie because I enjoy things very much, which are crochet, video games, writing, anime. I have like a long list of hobbies, but that's like the top four things that are in my day. If you ever wonder, gee, I wonder what Liz does in a day, it's usually those four things. Sometimes it deviates a little bit, but it's usually centered around those four specific things. About midway through high school, I started having my first taste of depression, and I had little bits about it whenever I was younger. But high school was when it really peaked up, and it was for a variety of reasons that I will not get into. But one of the things that became my escape was writing. I think my writing picked up a lot more in that time space because it was my way of processing some of the stuff that I was dealing with, and I didn't realize I was doing it. I just that just became my way of coping, which is how we ended up with all of those notebooks from the video that I'll probably link like in the corner somewhere at some point. But it became my escape. But the problem with it is sometimes depression will convince you don't like the things that you like, and you're not getting the excitement and the rush from things you normally would. It's the dopamine just is not showing up. Um and that is a battle that I've had on and off since high school. And I've gone through therapy since then. I've learned that usually when I get into that state, it's just my brain being a brain. And sometimes I'm just processing things and I don't realize it yet. It's just the way the brains work. Sometimes you just don't know what the heck's going on. But that was my escape. That's where where a lot of the writing picked up. And sometimes you look back on old works and you can tell just from the writing that I was not in a good brain space at the time, which is such a cool detail to me now. But when I'm looking back on those passages, I just kind of hurt a little bit because back then I didn't realize that there was something wrong with me. It didn't take until me getting into college where I realized that there was something wrong, which there's not something wrong. I realized that my brain wasn't doing what it should be doing. It's hard to explain, and if you never experienced before, I pray that you never do because it's not a fun thing. But over the years, my brain has done this thing where it will convince me that writing isn't as fun as it is. And then I start experiencing things like imposter syndrome. I start feeling inadequate in my abilities, and then sometimes I just stop writing. But this past year, with me going through all of my old works, I realized that there is still joy there. And I want to fall in love with the craft again. And I want to do all of these things that I'm currently working on. And I can't let the brain get in the way anymore. It's not healthy. I've learned in therapy that sometimes the best things to do when your brain isn't working is to get a hobby that helps you keep your hands busy but your brain free, which is why I started crocheting because it works a different part of my brain. It's still creative, but it gives my brain a place to go whenever I'm trying to figure out why why it's not working. If only we could ask them, right? But I realized part of it was I wasn't letting myself grow as a writer. There's this danger that comes with stagnance. If you don't ever seek to improve something, your brain gets bored because it's not challenging itself. And when you're not challenging yourself, especially if you have a brain thing going on, that's when things get messy for a number of reasons. So I try to avoid the stagnance, the lack of progress. So this month, my entire channel is going to be focused around falling in love with writing again, because this is going to be the foundation of my channel. I want this space to be kind of like a record of the process that I've gone through, because if I don't see the progress, I lose motivation very quickly, and then the imposter syndrome sets in, which isn't great, and it's a habit that needs to stop. So we're changing the routine a little bit, and we're changing the things that we do. Starting with my background, you see my gaming consoles back there because I don't really have anywhere else to put them. But we have a new board that kind of shows our growth over time. And I have a new thing that I'm doing, which is it's a tiny jar right now because I just started this. But it's a jar of all the tasks that I've done for the year. There's only 2 things in there right now. It'll be a third after I finish this video. But it's a way for me to track all of the work and effort that I put in here, because I like seeing that come together. Um, so this is where we're starting. And Friday, I'll probably have a progress update, but right now this is just me yapping about depression. Um, and it in the writing space. I've learned that if I use it to help sort through my brain, oftentimes I can get myself out of the funk, out of the depression funk. That's kind of what I call it. But that is a challenge that I deal with often, which is why sometimes you'll see me go long periods without posting anything. That's usually a sign that the imposter syndrome kicked in. And we're fighting that this month. We are no longer letting it control our lives. We are going to start doing things, and I have people now that are in my ear reminding me to do things, because that's also another problem. The ADHD will kick in and I'll get distracted. But we're hitting the end of this video. My name is Leslie T-Rex. I like to write a little too much. Um, and currently I'm going through all of the notebooks that I've acquired over the past 10, 15 years, and I'm trying to build it into a thing. If you want to see me fumble, or if you just like to hear me ramble for some reason, hit the subscribe button. If you're still watching, make sure to leave a like and go down into the comments section and say nice things to each other. That's the best I got. And if you are dealing with mental health problems, it gets better. It takes time and it takes work, and you're gonna have high days and you're gonna have low days. I can say from someone that's dealt with it for years and years, therapy has helped me tremendously with it. I have way more good days than I do bad days, and usually when I have bad days, it's because I'm not um getting like the proper nutrition, or sometimes I just need a day to decompress from everything. But it does get better. So just keep that in mind, and you're not alone in the fight. That I'm learning that this is a very common whenever there are creative people in the world. But that's all I have time for you today, and I'll see you in the next video on Friday. I will have an update of stuff on Friday.